welcome everyone to this amazing afternoon. We're going to be learning a lot of things about business and entrepreneurship. So we're so excited to be here. And my name is Jesus, and we're going to have an amazing afternoon. We are the CDLE, and this is one of the many conferences that this Encuentro Limitless 2021 will have. So today's topic is entrepreneurship. And well, when we think about being an entrepreneur, we may think, well, I do not have enough resources. I do not have enough money, skills, talent, or I don't know what your limits are. But maybe in, neither of that stuff is necessary to really start a successful business. And well, how we're going to figure it out today with our amazing guest. Today, we're going to have two amazing people from an amazing company called Pencil Speech. Pencil Speech is an organization. When you go to Google and you try to find any term, any word, in any page, and some pages, for some reason, are at the top and some are at the bottom or in the second, third, fourth, fifth page that nobody sees. Well, this company and its work is to make pages more visible to you. When you try to look for that word, for that term, for that investigation, if that page is on the top, well, this company, this SEO company, Pencil Speech, is working for that, working for all of those companies to be at the top. So, well, they are a top company talking about a top topic today. And well, we are going to have Marian. She's a social communication student from this university, from amazing university. She's an excellent student and an amazing entrepreneur. And we're going to have Juan, an amazing man, CEO, a kind of Bill Gates in Venezuela, and well, a very important man. So, well, I don't know if we're ready to start. I think we're ready. I can see Marian smiling there. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Marian and Juan.
Thank you, Jesus, for that introduction. You have, I have to give you kudos for explaining so well what SEO is, search engine optimization. A lot of people don't really get the gist of it, and you did, so thank you. And today, we're not gonna talk about marketing. We're gonna talk about entrepreneurship because Pencil Speech started like that, and it's been growing to the point where we feel so thankful to be here and to be able to share a lot of things we've learned from other authors that we've also read and studied and that have led us here to this moment. So when we think of a big company, we may forget that it started somewhere and that in some point in life, it was just two friends thinking and developing an idea. Here we have this photo of two of the most entrepreneurs ever. I don't know if someone recognizes who are in this photo, but this is the start of Apple. So when we see what it is today, we may think that it was made out of magic and that it's always been like that. But the truth is that no, it started small, like all projects and all enterprises do. So 26 out of 27 startups fail. Why? And what does that 27 one have that makes it succeed? This is a question that it's been tried to be answered for a lot of time, and that it was attempt to the answer in this book that is one of the Bibles here at Pencil Speech, which is called Build to Last. Build to Last is a study of successful habits of visionary companies. It was made by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras, and they studied very academically 18 pairs of companies, dozens of companies, to determine what made them succeed, what made them good, and defining what myths there are about entrepreneurship and what habits you can develop to actually succeed and become one of these remembered companies. Here you have Jim and Jerry, two academic people that I want to underline that they didn't do this empirically. They did it with a strategy and like in a thesis sort of way. Actually, the book is very long and it has the whole process of how they determined these things. So you can be sure that they are very trustful. What is a visionary company? What criteria did they use to study these enterprises? They determined that a visionary company is one that is a premier institution in its industry, one that made an imprint on the world, one that was founded before 1950. So actually, Apple, although I used it as an example, was not studied by them because it was founded after that. And also one that had several generations of CEOs, one that lived longer than their previous leaders. Here we have some examples of visionary companies. P&G, Sony, Motorola, Walmart, American Express, Johnson & Johnson, IBM, 3M, Ford, Disney. I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, three big companies that they use as an example and that we as Pencil use as an example to follow through and make it big. Jim and Jerry established that there were things you didn't need that people thought you need to make a project or a startup work. These are the kind of thing that Jesus was talking about, like needing a lot of money or the ones that we're gonna see next. So the first one is that it takes a great idea to start a great company. And actually, the reality is that starting a company with a great idea might be a bad idea. Few of the visionary companies began life with a great idea. In fact, some began without any specific idea, and even fewer began with outright failures. So you thinking that you need something that is not invented, that does not exist yet to succeed is not true. Furthermore, regardless of the founding concept, the visionary companies were significantly less likely to have early success. It's like the parable of the turtle and the hare, where they win the long run, even when in the short term, it might have looked like they were not going anywhere. So the second myth is that visionary companies require great and charismatic visionary leaders, like Bill Gates, maybe. But really, a charismatic and visionary leader is absolutely not required for a visionary company. And they can be actually detrimental to a company long-term prospects. Some of the most recognized and famous CEOs in history of visionary or great companies did not fit the model of high-profile, charismatic leader, and indeed they were explicitly away from that model. What they did have was that maybe they weren't these individual leaders for everyone, but they were good architects, and this is something Juan is going to explain later, but they were clock builders, not time tellers. So they knew how to build a system, which is very important to start a visionary company. The third myth is that visionary companies share a common subset of correct values. There is no right set of core values for being a visionary company. And two companies can have very radical, opposite, different ideologies and still yet both be visionary. Core values in a visionary company don't even have to be enlightened or humanistic, although there often are. And the crucial thing here is that people in the company believe in those values. And when defining those principles, they did not ask themselves, what should I believe in? They asked themselves, what do I already believe in, and what do I want to share with everyone else? The fourth myth is that visionary companies are great places to work for everyone. We often think that we want to work at Google or at Apple because they have amazing offices and ping pong tables, and I don't know, you can take your pet and your dog to your workplace. But really, there are other things we don't see that actually make people there fit really well in the company. So don't try to build something that will be a great fit for everyone, because visionary companies have such a strict and righteous, strong culture that you either fit in very well and it's the best place to work, or you hate it and you will be ejected like a virus because you won't fit it a lot. There's this very defined line that, yeah, it makes you be in or out. It's binary. There's no in between. You either like it or you hate it. So you won't be perfect for everyone. And the last myth before we go to the part of the truths and the things you do have to know for building a visionary, long-lasting, memorable company is that highly successful companies make their best moves by brilliant and complex strategic planning. What you really need to know more than planning and designing a route to follow is being prepared to fail. Visionary companies know that they have to try a lot of things and keep what works, and they don't get discouraged by something that didn't work. They know that they'll just find another way that is not the right for them, and that they'll keep working on discovering the product, the process, the clients, and the things that you need to, yeah, to stay over time in business, which is not easy at all.
Sorry, I was mute. All right, it's time to talk about the habits. We already know the myths. And first of all, it's my duty. I need to say thank you to the CDLE. I don't know if you know this, but you are very important for our company since Marianne um, entered the organization. She have always talked about the work you are doing, and also thanks to Jesus. But I am better than Bill Gates. Just kidding, just kidding. So now it's time to talk about the habits. Maybe you thought that those myths were truth, but you now know that you don't need any special thing to build a great organization or to develop a great project. So what were the principles and routines that helped build 3M, Walmart, Sony, Disney, and other great companies? What do you need to know to succeed in the entrepreneurial world? Could you model their successes? As Marianne explained in the book Big to Last, Jim Collins and Jerry Porras answered all of these questions after spending 5 years studying dozens of companies included in the S&P 500 index. This index is where all the big companies, all the top-notch companies are located. And if you know how this company move, how this company think, you are going to be as successful, or maybe a little of their success is going to pass through you. So today I'm going to introduce you to 4 of those habits. There are more, but we don't have enough time. So with these four habits, you can take best insights and apply them to your projects. The first one is clock building. It's called clock building, not time telling, and explains the importance of building a structure so that you, as an entrepreneur, don't need to do everything by yourself. This is very, very important. Remember, if you are indispensable, you do not have a company, you are self-employed. This principle, as I say, is called club building. And Jim Collins explained it this way. Leading as a charismatic visionary, a genius with 1,000 helpers is time telling. Shaping a culture that can thrive far beyond any single leader is club building. Searching for a single great idea on which to build success is time telling. Building an organization that can generate many great ideas over a long period of time is club building. Enduring greatness requires club building. A visionary company that lasts for decades and can stay on top of the market cannot depend on a single leader or a single idea. In fact, if you want to create one of these companies more than a leader, as Marianne said, as Marianne explained, you need to be an architect. Please take this mindset, take this example, take this analogy and apply to your way of thinking. You are not a hero. You are not indispensable. You are an architect. You need to develop, you need to write those plans. You need to imagine how the company is going to work and then try to take that to reality. Your main task is to design a watch that can still function without your guidance. With this model, you don't need to be a time teller and stay in front of the group 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Every leader, no matter how charismatic or visionary, eventually dies. And all great ideas, no matter how good, sooner or later become obsolete. In that sense, building a visionary company doesn't correlate with having a rockstar leader. Sorry for that, Jesus. You don't need a Steve Jobs, an Elon Musk, or a Bill Gates. Also, it is not necessary to create an Uber or an Airbnb that can change the world. And this is a wall for so many people because we tend to say, I'm not creative enough. I don't have those great ideas. I don't have the ability to change the world, but you don't need to be that. You don't need to have that. You only need a set of values, as Marianne explained, and I'm going to talk about that sooner, and a vision that you can maintain for decades. Be a clock builder, not a time teller. Design a system and let the system work for you. Think about you are going to help the new members in the onboarding process, shape your culture, and let people do what they are able to do. Your best invention, your best work is going to be the company itself. And we are going to now review two great quotes about these concepts. The first one is by Richard Chico in the book, The Disney Version, and says, above all, there was the ability to build and build and build, never stopping, never looking back, never finishing the institution. In the last analysis, Walt Disney's greatest creation was Walt Disney, the company. And the second one by the legendary Sam Walton. I have concentrated all along on building the finest retailing company that we possibly could, period. Creating a huge personal fortune was never particularly a goal of mine. And that is one of the components of the next habit. We mixed two of the habits. Sorry. We mix two of the habits, and I'm gonna talk about cult-like cultures and more than profits. Visionary companies have a clear purpose that never change. culture and vision above all. In this kind of organization, the long view always comes first. Making more money or growing faster is never going to be a priority. Finding the right people and moving along the principles are far more important things. Like a visionary company CEO said, we are willing to give up business opportunities that would force us to abandon our principles. We are still here after 100 years, doubling our sizes after each 6-year period when most of our competitors from 50 years ago are no longer here. Why? Because of the discipline of never compromise our standards for convenience. In everything we do, we take the long-term view, always. And this is a quote, this is a friendly reminder for us at Pencil Speech. If we don't find the right people, if we don't do our recruiting process in a good manner, we know that we are going to fail. And we are not in a hurry. We can go slow. We can be the turtles, but we need the right people, because when you have that right people, you don't need an special management. You don't need to be a motivator. You don't need to be a hero. You only need to develop that environment and people are going to shine. So why do you exist and what are you going to protect? This is the question or the questions you need to ask yourself. These things, these choices are forever. Then feel free to adapt to the circumstances, but your values and your principles, like I said, are forever. Those who build the visionary companies wisely understood that it is better to understand who you are than where you are going. For where you are going will almost certainly change. And we are living that. Today we have Twitter, Instagram, Google, but in 10 years or 15 years, maybe we have we'll have another platforms, another software. So yeah, we're gonna be changing our strategies or tactics, but our principles. And in pencil speech, our main purpose is to be a classroom that that will never change. In other words, visionary companies discern between their core atemporal values and their lasting purpose, which never change, and their operational practices and commercial strategies, which are constantly changing. Sorry. And we're gonna read two more quotes from two important people. The first one is by John Young, former CEO of Hewlett and Packard. Our basic principles have endured intact since our founders conceived them. We distinguish between core values and practices. The core values don't change, but the practices might. We have also remained clear that profit, as important as it is not why the Hewlett Packard company exists. It exists for more fundamental reasons. And like Thomas, another director of the company, always remind us, money is the fuel. Without money, you can drive the car, but money is not our goal. So it's important to develop mechanisms to earn money so you can grow the company, but it's not the main purpose. And the second quote we found in the Merck and Company's internal management guide, and says, we are in the business of preserving and improving human life. All of our actions must be measured by our success in achieving this goal. So, like Marian said, the culture in these companies is so strong that if you don't share the organization's value, you will have a really, really bad time. But if you are okay and if you love the way that company do the things, the work for you or your job is gonna be playful, it's gonna be joyful, and you certainly will have a good time. The third habit is kind of a mindset. It's called no tyranny of the or. Visionary companies embrace the genius of end. They, they have a purpose beyond profit and at the same time develop a pragmatic pursuit of profit. They have a relative fixed core ideology and at the same time promote vigorous change and movement. And I think we in our life are always thinking between black and white, but in reality we find a lot of grays, and we need to think outside the box. We need to develop new mindsets because part of our job as entrepreneurs, as founders, as early employees is invent new ways of doing things, and it's always iterating in the way we move or the way we strategize in the company. So visionary companies have or are conservative around the core, but bold and risky in everything else. They have a clear vision and sense of direction, and also are opportunistic and enjoy experimentation. They have big, hairy, audacious goals, and also want incremental evolutionary progress, ideological control, and operational autonomy. These sound contradictory. This is a dichotomy, but it's the way you need to think. And you need to say, I want both. I want growth and I want stability. I want the best wage for my employees, and also I want to invest in new technological equipment. You need that abundance mindset, um, invest for the long term and also demand for short-term performance. Does your company need to earn a lot of money or be a love mark? The answer is both. Both, sorry. There is always a third way. There is always a better solution. Please keep this in mind. We should open our brains and think, like I said, outside the box, because this way we're gonna develop better ideas. And finally, the last habit, and I think is the most important, good enough never is. When you think you are arriving to the goal, when you think the path is finished, is when you are starting. This entrepreneurial path, this way of living is forever. We are constantly iterating. And this iteration thing is a concept we took from the people at Basecamp. Please investigate these companies. They are a genius, they are an inspiration, and they think that our projects or companies, more than a family, we're always hearing we are a family, blah 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 blah. But more than a family, or companies or projects are a product, and a product, if you don't optimize it, if you don't develop new functions, the product is gonna be um, I missed that word, but it's gonna be obsolete. Yeah. Thank you, Marianne. So the same thing applies to the company. In Pensi, for example, we developed a plan for the first um, semester, and now we're gonna do the things different. We are maintaining our purpose. We're gonna be a classroom from our employees, from our clients, but we need to be always moving, and not only moving like doing things, moving in our minds, in our brains, in our soul, how we can do the things better. And this is also correlated with the Malcolm Gladwell's concept of the 10,000 hours. You need to put those hours, you need to put the effort and the work so you can be a better entrepreneur. You can attend this kind of conference, you can read books, but only reality is going to give you the ideas that you need to improve and to put your game on in the next level. So for us, this is what we need to say. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you very much to Jesus and to CDLE. Thanks, Marianne, and we are open to your questions. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. We're so happy for having you here. Guys, if you have any question, please, this is the moment to ask all of them. Please, we will be reading them all. So please write them all. We have experts in the subject. So if I were you, I will take advantage of this. So we will wait for your questions. Well, while we're waiting for all what you have to ask for, um, remember to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and CDLE and underscore UCAB. Please follow us there and in Instagram. We all we have all the time very important information, interesting for you about different topics. Today was is about businesses, but tomorrow will maybe about knowing French civilization or knowing about mathematics. I don't know. We have so many topics and subjects in this conference, in this event of Limitless, and you can you can lose any of them. You need to go to join all of them because well, you will learn for free and with experts. So please ask all of your questions. We will read them all, and I'm sure Pencil Speech will answer them all.
If any of the attendees has a project or startup and wants to ask a specific question that we didn't say, that we didn't talk about in the talk, but a question in general, you can also ask it.
Come on, guys. You have businesses. I'm sure. All of us are entrepreneurs. Maybe some have already started their own business, but maybe you have thought about a lot of things. You who are sitting in front of your computer and listening to this talk, I don't know. Maybe you have an idea, but you don't know how to really apply it, how to really put into practice. Well, I don't know, but in my city, I have met so many people who are, becoming an entrepreneur without limits. So I think we can really being people, being some people with ideas and energy to really start our own businesses. So please ask all of your questions. We will be here, reading them all.
We have two questions. We have three questions. Two by Thomas. Thomas is also part of the Pencil Speech team, and we're very glad you're here, Thomas. This is a special hello for you. How do I maintain the same spirit of the beginning of the company through the years? That's a very good question because maybe at the beginning it's very strong because there's few people, but as more people join, it gets more difficult to pass through them all the spirit. And I think the secret is first knowing that people have to share the values like from deep down, so it's not as hard to teach them that core ideology. Some things can't be taught, I think. And you always have to do practices and routines to live the values. It's not something you just put on the wall because it looks pretty. Yeah, we have these values, or on the website, for example. You have to actually know how they translate into everyday actions and try to live by them. When you have to make a decision, feel and take into consideration those values so they never die.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos says or has a concept, and in Amazon is always day one because day two is decline, day two is is laziness. So for us, and Tomas, it's like how we transform or modify the company on a monthly basis so that we can enjoy the work we are doing. For me, it's like if I'm not enjoying the process, if I don't have a goal, if I don't have a new thing or a mini project inside or macro goals that we know what are those, you it could be boring. So you need that spirit, and then it's gonna be contagious um, to the other members of the team. You need to pass that soul. You need to pass that spirit because, like Marianne said, in the beginning, it's like we are in this battle. We are entrepreneurs. Let's go. But then, as the company grows, that kind of spirit is missing, and you need to ignite that again and again and again.
There's this question by Karen about the Venezuelan economy and how that could or not interfere with making and starting a project or making startup. And we're witnesses that it's no obstacle to actually succeed. No one has ever invested on pencil. Everything we've accomplished, we've earned it, and of course it starts small, and you have to find people that believe in the project even when maybe they will have not much in return at the beginning. But if people actually trust and have faith on the vision and on the long-term plans, then you can start growing. And not, I mean, right now a lot of services can be offered worldwide, and I think that slowly this concept that Venezuelan people and agencies and everything are cheaper is slowly fading away. So it's no obstacle to actually succeed over time.
Yeah, and we have built an optimistic bubble to work to be able to work in this environment. We are always motivating ourselves, and we are laser focused in our goals. We are not reading news and that kind of things because we know Venezuela is the political and social conditions are not ideal. But you as an entrepreneur need to embrace that quote about from Marcus Aurelius: "The obstacle is the way." All right. How long? All right. For us, Ingrid, we have passed through many difficult times because I don't know if you remember the shutdowns in Venezuela, then the pandemic, then um, because nobody invests in us, we need we always need to be careful about the cash flow. It's a pressure we have in our backs, but it's a pressure we share with all business owners or entrepreneurs. But yeah, the most difficult part was going against the stream. I don't know if I'm saying the correct word. But yeah, that events were difficult, and now the most difficult thing is maintaining that fight, that inner fight.
Karen also asked if the future startups will only be digital. I don't think so. um, Eventually, COVID will fade away, right? Will disappear. Startups will keep being of all different natures. Although I do think digital startups will increase as they have already, but I don't think they will be the only option. Although it's also an advantage. One of the reasons that you don't need a big amount of capital to start a company, because a lot of things can be done for free on the internet. There are also a lot of resources for free to learn, to develop things, yeah, to start anything, to even find the people to work with you all over the world.
Well, I thank you all for joining us today. Eh, I hope you have enjoyed this amazing presentation from these spectacular people. If you want to follow them on social media, you will find them here below. We will leave you all of their information in Instagram, Twitter, and you can also follow us, the CDLE, in our Twitter. I will repeat it, CDLE underscore UCAB. The same is for Instagram. So thank you very much. Please join us in all of our sessions because this is just starting off. So thank you again and have a great weekend, a great day. And well, let's be all entrepreneurs. So God bless you all.